Hello and welcome to MCB's virtual town hall, Rehabilitation Teaching Magnified, Learning to Live with Your Legal Blindness. My name is Ulena McPherson. Thank you for joining us. We look forward to speaking to you today about rehabilitation teaching. We have ASL interpreter services and CART real-time captioning services present for this meeting. And we ask that if you are not utilizing ASL interpreter services, please turn off your video unless you're speaking. We ask that you please identify yourself while speaking. The ASL interpreters with us today have the name interpreter on their video. The participants who wish to view the ASL interpreter should select Pin Video in the context menu, which is available by hovering over the interpreter's video thumbnail. To access CART real-time captioning, you can select closed captioning on your Zoom screen or use the stream text link provided in the chat. Phone shortcuts: *6 to mute and unmute, *9 to raise and lower your hand. For Windows, Alt-A to mute and unmute, Alt-Y to raise and lower your hand, Alt-V to start and stop video. With Mac, Command-Shift-A to mute and unmute, Option-Y to raise and lower your hand, Command-Shift-B to start and stop video. If you need help turning on your video to use ASL services, or if you need help with pinning an interpreter's video, please send a chat to the Zoom host. We will be using live captioning throughout this meeting. To turn on captioning in full screen mode, click on the More button on your Zoom application and select Closed Caption and select Show Subtitle. You can also adjust the size of the subtitles by going to Subtitle Settings and adjusting the closed caption font size using the slider, with left being the smallest font size and right being the largest font size available. Now, at this time, I would like to introduce to some and present to others Commissioner David Darkangelo.
Ulena, thank you so much. Many thanks to our team for putting this great event together today. And thanks to all of our consumers for joining today. This should be a great event. So hello and good afternoon. It's David Darkangelo, Commissioner here at the Massachusetts Commission for the Blind, or MCB. It's great to be with you today. As one of the oldest blindness agencies in the United States, founded in 1906, we are a team of professionals committed to enhancing independence and self-determination for the people we serve across our great Commonwealth. A big part of our mission is the terrific work done by our rehabilitation teachers. Now, by definition, rehabilitation teaching is the educational process that prepares a person who is blind or visually impaired to perform daily living tasks safely and independently in any environment. And they do a great job of it. Our rehabilitation teachers instruct people with visual impairments on how to use their compensatory skills and assistive technology to live safe, productive, and independent lives. A great feature of the services MCB provides is that we bring our services directly to you. Our teachers evaluate skills and provide teaching right in your homes, assisted living facilities, long-term care facilities, and where you work. Community services at its best. Our specialized teaching services, including some fairly simple devices and techniques, can really improve the quality of life for persons who are legally blind. These services are planned and provided on an individualized basis that is specific to each person's needs, interests, and aptitudes. I'm so grateful for the terrific work our whole team does, and surely we'll gain some great insight into the wonderful work that our RTs provide. We have a great agenda for you this afternoon which was organized by some of our rehabilitation teachers and our town hall planning committee. So thank you to all those who took part. Thank you to all the great work they've put into this wonderful event. Really is great for our community. It will be recorded so you can go back to this in the future as well. Over the course of the next 90 minutes, our MCB experts will provide an overview of rehabilitation teaching and address topics such as daily living, communication skills, assistive technology use, and leisure time activities. We've also set aside time at the end of the program for plenty of questions and answers. So if you have those, you can put them in the chat, or please wait till the end and ask those questions. Thank you again to everyone who has joined us here today. And to learn more about our rehab teaching services at MCB, you can find us online at mass.gov/MCB. As always, please keep in contact with MCB if we can be of any service to you or your family. Otherwise, to begin our event, I'm going to turn it back over to you, Lena, and thank you all once again. Hope you have a great day.
Thank you, Commissioner. To speak with us at this time on the rehabilitation teaching process, we have with us Deputy Commissioner John Oliveira.
Thank you, Elena, and good afternoon, everyone. I'm John Oliveira, Deputy Commissioner at the Commission for the Blind. And rehabilitation teaching is an extremely essential skill, especially to those who are losing their vision, or have lost their vision, or who are totally blind. The teacher works in many areas of the house, as David has mentioned, Commissioner, and he also they can also work at school and at work and any location to bring back some of those skills. How do you get rehabilitation teaching services from the agency? Well, when you reach out to us, you are assigned a case manager, and the case manager will talk to you about your goals and your interests, your needs. And if rehabilitation teaching falls in one of those needs, a referral will be made, and the teacher will come out to work with you and conduct an evaluation. And we can work with low-tech items. We can teach you many techniques. If you're a little nervous in the kitchen, they can show you how to slice things safely and how to do different sort of managing different herbs and spices and labeling things, and how to get things in order so that you're fairly comfortable in your kitchen. In any other room in the house, and it's tremendous to watch someone learn, and a task that appears to be so difficult becomes, after some training and some testing of what works out best for you, which technique, and there is not a right technique for everyone. There's various techniques, and whatever works for that individual, then that's the technique that they end up using to perform that task. So it's a great honor to be with you all today, and great thank you for having us. We have our staff that'll be presenting different categories of rehabilitation teaching, and we'll be here throughout, and at the end, we love to take your questions and provide you with a lot of information this afternoon. So sit back and be prepared to learn and get to know some of your rehabilitation teaching team here at MCB. Now back to you, Elena.
Thank you, John. It is my pleasure to introduce to you all of the rehabilitation teaching professionals that serve our consumers across the entire state of Massachusetts. And to begin, I'd like to introduce to you Kristen Shine, the SRRT Supervisor for Region 6, as she gives us an overview of rehabilitation teaching.
Hi, thank you. I'm Kristen Shine, Social Rehab and Rehab Teaching Supervisor for Region 3. MCB was founded in 1906, a committee that included Helen Keller. Helen Keller, blind since childhood, was a powerful advocate for the rights of people with disabilities. She believed in equal opportunity for everyone. And the mission of MCB, while the wording has changed over the years, remains unchanged. to provide quality rehabilitative services so that everyone who is blind or visually impaired will have the opportunity to live as independently as possible. Rehabilitation teaching, aka vision rehab therapy, is an individualized instruction where a person who is blind or visually impaired is taught adapting coping skills to gain functional independence. Rehab teachers teach consumers the skills needed to live independently at home, to obtain employment, and to fully participate in community life. Throughout this presentation, you may hear us use the terms rehabilitation teaching, or RT, rehabilitation teachers, rehab teachers, or RTs for short, interchangeably. At MCB, rehab teachers provide adaptive training in areas such as management, which can include labeling, organization, safe cooking techniques, meal preparation, appliance marking, and more. They provide training in personal management, which can include medication management, ADL such as grooming and dressing techniques, money ID, and shopping strategies. They provide training in communication, which can include things such as telephone use, writing or braille, and typing and use of computers. They also provide training in leisure activities, which can include things such as TV viewing, reading, crafts, games, and events such as sports or theater. And they provide training in vision utilization, which can include things such as low vision aids, adaptive equipment, and evaluation for magnifiers, evaluation for contrast or lighting, sunglass evaluation for glare control. In order to be successful, rehab teachers need to have an understanding of eye conditions, the functional impacts of eye conditions in general, and how certain eye conditions affect each person individually. For example, macular degeneration generally affects the central vision, but each individual has their own areas where they could see better or worse. And glaucoma generally affects the peripheral or side vision. However, each individual's field restrictions will vary depending on the extent and severity of the disease. RTs also need to have an understanding of secondary disabilities. Various physical or psychological conditions can have an impact on the participation in rehab. For example, diabetes complications can impact a person's nerves in their fingers, and learning to read Braille may be difficult or not an option altogether. A psychological condition, such as anxiety or depression, could impact a person's motivation or slow progress with the rehab. What is the process of RT and MCB, and how do RTs work with MCB's consumers? An RT referral is made by the consumer's case manager and sent to the supervisor. The supervisor then assigns a case to a rehab teacher. The rehab teacher contacts the consumer to schedule an appointment. Prior to the appointment, the RT reviews the consumer's eye report and any other pertinent background information. Then an initial assessment is conducted by an RT with the consumer. Questions such as how the consumer performed or didn't perform tasks prior to the meeting, and what are the consumer's goals, what do they want to accomplish or be able to do. Then the RT and consumer develop a plan together, which is always very individualized. Following RT, some consumers will have the ability to complete tasks completely independently, some with moderate assistance from people such as family, and others mostly dependent, with one small area of independence, such as telling time. Regardless of the level of independence achieved, functional gains are always important. Doing something, even if one thing, gives a person an increased level of independence that they did not have before. Many RTs here at MCB complete a diagnostic inventory, and that lists all the different areas and is broken down into categories. It lists needed or not needed skills and areas that need to be worked on. Then the RT training begins. RT provide training and teach consumers techniques and adaptive ways to complete those tasks. They also may provide adaptive equipment and training on the use of those devices. All of this teaching and training is specific to what each consumer's goals are. The RT writes notes and documents the progress in the consumer's case file. They regularly communicate with the case managers to monitor and adjust the training as needed in order to meet the consumer's goals. And RT training is completed when the consumer and case manager and RT agree that the consumer has met or came as close as possible to meeting their RT goals. For a more in-depth or magnified look at the various areas of training that I mentioned here, we have RTs who will demonstrate the ways in which they will provide training in areas such as daily living, communication skills, maximizing remaining vision, use of assistive technology, and leisure activities. Thank you so much. Back to you, Yelena.
Thank you, Kristen. Well, to begin, we'll start with, as Kristen indicated, the first presentation will be provided or presented to us in the topic of daily living. And we have with us today, Caitlin Donovan and Lauren Hanrahan from Region 4 to present.
Hi there, I'm Kate. I'm a rehab teacher in Region 4.
And my name is Lauren, and I am also a rehab teacher in Region 4.
And we put together a video in preparation for this just to show firsthand some of the tools that we use in the kitchen. So I'll go ahead and start that now. The kitchen and beyond.
In the areas of daily living, one of the major areas that we talk about is labeling. And for labeling, we can talk about things such as putting bump dots on a kitchen appliance, such as your microwave or your stove, or even your laundry machines. But labeling can also go to other things throughout the home, such as labeling your clothing or labeling anything that you really need help identifying. So a few things that we use to label are things like bump dots. Now, bump dots are tactile stickers, so they're raised and they're sticky on the back. So you can peel off a bump dot, and when you get over to something like your microwave, we can put a bump dot on any of the buttons that you would most commonly use. And when you're wanting to find that certain button, you can just feel for it instead of looking for the number. And then when you're ready to go, you can just push right on that bump dot. Now, the bump dots come in all different sizes and shapes and colors. So for example, I'm holding up some orange ones right now, which are nice because they can provide some contrast for people with more of low vision, but they also come in black, and this black is like a larger square. And then they also come in clear for those who don't want any colors or would rather have others in the house to be able to see through at what the button actually says as well. And then other things that can be used for labeling are things like high marks, which is like a puffy paint. So you can put this on, again, you could put it on appliances. Some people put it on their medication bottles. Really anything that you need to label, you can also use high marks for, or you can even use household items and get creative. So people put rubber bands on like their shampoo bottle or their conditioner bottle to help distinguish which is which, and anything else that you need to label. So there's really many ways that you can get creative with labeling. Lastly, I would just like to mention that there are voice labeler systems. They're a little bit higher tech as far as labelers go, but they work really well, and you can record your voice to be able to identify what a certain item is. And there'll be more on that later in the communication section of this presentation.
Another area that we work on in the kitchen is meal prep. So a good idea is to have all of your supplies on a tray so you can locate them while you're completing a meal prep process. One tool that we have that's pretty great is a contrast cutting board. So one side is white and one side is black. So depending on what you're cutting or preparing, you might find it easier to cut on one side or the other. We also have cut-resistant gloves that you can wear to hold the food steady so you won't cut yourself. Another solution to not cut yourself is using a lettuce knife. It's a plastic serrated knife that will cut through almost anything, but it won't cut through your skin. So for example, cutting this watermelon here, I can hold it really close to where I want to cut, and I don't have to worry about the knife cutting my skin because it's nice and safe. And we cut the watermelon. Another glove that's great is the UV glove. On both sides it has grips, so you can use it on your left or your right hand. And because it's a glove, it's really easy to maneuver things, taking them in and out of the oven, like so.
So something else that we often can use and provide some instruction in using is something we call a liquid level indicator. And this is a small device that we can put on the inside rim of a cup. So when you're pouring something hot or cold, you can place the 3 prongs on the liquid level indicator on the inside rim of your cup. So when you're pouring, like for example from this tea kettle here, once the liquid reaches the level of the prongs, it will start beeping, just like that. So it lets me know as soon as the liquid is close to the top. Another area that we talk about in rehab teaching is money management. And this can include things like identifying dollar bills, organizing and managing your credit cards and debit cards, and anything else in your wallet. So for example, something that we talk about is organizing. So we may organize our dollar bills in our wallet a certain way, either by folding them or putting them in certain compartments, and same thing with our debit or credit cards. The other thing that we can do to organize is maybe label our debit or credit cards. So we can put things like a bump dot or another tactile marker on an area on our credit or debit card to distinguish where the chip or the little scanner bar is on the card. And then in order to identify what your dollar bill is and the denomination of it, there's a few different ways that we can do that. So like we talked about, we can fold our money to organize, but in order to tell what it is, using a money reader. And this can be issued by the National Library Service and is free to anyone who is determined as legally blind. Another thing that we can use is actually an app on a smartphone or a tablet. So for example, using the app Seeing AI, we can use a setting in that called the money reader, and we can identify what a dollar bill is. So for example, I have a $10 bill here, and I'm gonna hold up my camera in the app to identify what this bill is. $10. And it's as simple as that.
Another essential part of daily living is making sure you take your medications on a daily basis. And a helpful tool for that would be a pill organizer like this. We have some that have really large print letters on here to tell the difference between the days of the week. You would put your medication in for each day and then take the medication on each respective day.
One of the more broad areas of RT is something we like to call personal management. So this can include things like telling time, doing laundry tasks, even things like organizing throughout the house. So for example, when it comes to telling time, there are a few different ways that we can do it, but we may use something called a talking keychain, which can be put in your pocket or on a keychain or just on a desk or a side table in the house to tell the time. And you just press one single button and it will say the time out loud. It is 1:13 a.m. We may also introduce things like talking clocks or talking watches as well to be able to tell the time. We also will assist with things like laundry and organizing your clothes or being able to fold your clothing and putting a load of laundry into the machine. Last but not least, we may discuss organization. And organization is key when it comes to living with visual impairment because it's important to know where your things are and what they are as well. So we may talk about ways to organize your things so you're able to identify them and find them whenever you need them. So to wrap it up, these are all just some examples of areas of daily living and some ways that us as RTs can help in these specific areas. But everyone's needs are different, and in order for you to figure out what will work best for you, it's best to talk with your RT, and we will figure out a plan from there.
Thank you. At this time, from Region 5, we have a video that comes to us from our rehab teachers, Susanna Bergantine and Tony Del Monte.
Hi there. If I had $1 million, if I had $1 million, I'd teach you to read with your hands so you could ride the elevator. Hey, what you got there, Susanna?
Hey, Tony. This is a sample of what Braille looks like. Have you ever heard of Braille?
I've heard of Braille, yeah, I've seen it.
Absolutely. It's a way of using your fingers to be able to touch this embossed type of print. There's many different dots that are in a cell, and Braille is a very interesting form of communication because you don't have to use vision to be able to read and identify. And like you said before, you can find it by the elevators, you can find it outside of the restrooms to enable you as a visually impaired person to be able to identify where you're going. So Braille is a really interesting type of communication.
Sure.
And for those who want to be able to label things, there's options like that will use a Braille labeler to be able to label boxes and drawers and things in the refrigerator, all different types of things.
Yeah, great.
And it's simply using Braille as a form of communicating.
Yeah, super, good tool.
Absolutely. Thank you, Tony,
You're
for
welcome.
asking.
If I had $1 million, if I had $1 million, I'd organize all your files so you can know just where to find things. Hey, what you got there?
Hey, Tony, this is called a voice labeling system.
Voice labeling system.
Absolutely.
All right.
And
How's it work?
well, the way it works is you simply record information onto onto a label.
Mhm.
And you can record all different kinds of things.
Okay.
You want to be able to identify things in the kitchen. You can identify things in the refrigerator, right?
Mhm.
But then you can identify your clothing,
Mhm.
drawers,
Okay.
even record keeping.
Yep.
So that if you have important documents, you can simply use this type of voice labeling system to identify that. Most people who are unable to use a traditional method of labeling things in large print transition to something like this for voice labeling.
Wow. So if a couple of boxes look the same, I could have different labels and just touch that and read what's on the box.
That is exactly right.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it is
Okay.
very, very useful and very easy to use.
Nice. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
All right. If I had $1 million, if I had $1 million, I'd make reading much more fun. Reading would be much more fun for you. Hey, what do you got there now?
Well, this is bold lined paper.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, and I think this is so wonderful because, as our vision starts to change and becomes low, we're not able to see lines on our traditional notebook.
Yeah.
And this is pad of paper that has bold lines on it. And as you can tell, there's some writing on there. That's written in block letter form.
Fine, thank you.
Oh, you're welcome, sure. And you use a bold tipped pen that writes nice and dark in order to enable you to see what you wrote, right?
That's great.
If you notice, there is different types of writing. Some people like to write in cursive, the way that we were taught in school.
Yeah.
But as you can see by this demonstration here, when you write in block form, it's much easier to be able to read what you wrote. Absolutely.
Okay.
And as you can tell, there's different types of paper. I showed you a full size 8.5 by 11, but now you have a more narrow type of sheet of paper for maybe shopping lists or quick reminders that you just want to jot down.
Get that by phone.
That's right.
Yeah.
Now, notice most of the paper I've showed to you has been white, but we also have yellow lined paper. The yellow paper is just simply to manage glare. Individuals who have issues with the glare off of a white piece of paper can also use the option of bold lined yellow paper. And of course, you always want to use lighting because that enhances your contrast.
Yep.
You always want to use bold pens to be able to read what you wrote.
Yeah.
Now, if you are looking to do some writing using templates like these are called writing guides.
Yeah.
One is a signature guide to write your name in a straight line.
That's handy. Yeah.
Very handy, absolutely. Or even if you want to be able to write out a check, you have a check guide.
Yep.
And then, of course, an envelope guide. So many different types of tools that are, available to just be able to do your writing with less difficulty.
Such a simple thing, but it makes a big difference.
Big difference. You're absolutely right.
All right.
Thank you, Tony.
All right.
Now, I do have one other item I wouldn't want to miss out on showing you. I know it's going to knock your socks off.
Wow.
Are you ready?
I'll take my socks in.
That's right. Put them back on, Tony. As you can tell,
Good idea.
this is a large print calendar. It's a wall calendar. And as you can tell, the spaces are very generous for writing information.
Yeah, that's important.
The print of the numbers is very large. So whether you want to know what the time of the day is, or rather the day of the week is, or whether you want to just be able to just write information like a doctor's appointment or track a birthday or an important occasion, this is the way to do it. It's a
So many calendars at small spaces. That's nice and big. So
right.
you need to write
Absolutely.
big. You get room there.
Absolutely.
Great
You always
thing.
want to go back to using your nice bold pen.
Yep.
Peekaboo. And by the time you're using your lighting, you use your pen, and you write in here, you should be able to identify your next appointment without missing anything.
Good to go.
Yeah, absolutely. So we do have an address.
Oh, yeah. So
An address book.
good old school address book.
And
Yeah.
that's right.
They're
Now,
bigger.
some people still use one of these, and you want to be able to track a phone number, a name, perhaps an address.
Just the basics.
That's right. It's a way of being able to find information to communicate with someone,
That's
right?
alphabetical. That's great.
Absolutely. That's right. So
Super.
Oh,
There's a lot there.
there is a lot of
All right.
information, but it's
That's right.
all about writing and all about being able to achieve some goals.
And communicate.
That's right.
Thank you.
Communicate. That's right.
If I had $1 million, if I had $1 million, I'd get you a great big phone. I'd get you a great big phone. Wow, look at the size of that.
I know you're surprised, but
I
yes,
am.
these kind of telephones are absolutely wonderful. As you can tell, the numbers are nice and large on here on the console.
Yep.
This is a desktop model telephone, and it's so important for people to be able to communicate and socialize. And this is a way to do it. So this is a desktop model, but we work with an organization called EDP that also provides cordless types of telephones as well for landlines.
Okay.
And those kind of telephones, whether it's the one I just showed you or cordless phones, you're able to create some speed dial features on there. So you're able to program numbers into the telephone, and by assigning it a number and then writing it on this bold line paper,
Great idea.
it helps to remember who is assigned to where. So it makes making a phone call a much simpler experience.
Absolutely.
And for those people who need a cell phone option, there's even different types of options out there. Most people think cell phone, oh my goodness, an iPhone or
Too small.
an Android, right? But the touch screens are intimidating to some
That's
people.
true.
So for those individuals who need something simple, there's a jitterbug phone. And it's a very easy phone to use. It has high contrasted numbers. We know how important contrast is, right, Tony?
Yeah.
So this type of phone has a big display. People with low vision can make out some of what it says, but for those who are not able to make phone calls in the traditional fashion, they can also press one simple button at the bottom, and the service enables them to contact a customer service person to make a phone call just by simply saying, "Can you call John?" And if John is on their contact list, they can automatically call that number for them.
People that need that.
Absolutely. The amount of cost for the service depends on what they need. So I always encourage people to just call the Great Call or Jitterbug company and inform themselves of what they need.
Super.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
You're very
That's
welcome.
very informative. RT is very valuable service.
It certainly is.
Thank you.
Now,
You got something else there.
Well, sure. I mean, we were talking about, reminders and things of that nature. And this is called a Wilson recorder.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. So you can record messages on that.
You certainly can.
Okay.
So for the individuals who are not able to read a traditional writing like this, they would be able to use what's called a voice recorder.
Okay.
And it's a digital recorder, so you don't actually have to put a cassette tape or anything like the traditional ways. Because it's digital, you're able to simply utilize a couple of simple buttons.
3 buttons there.
That's right.
Yeah.
And by recording the information, you can retrieve it back very simply.
Sure. Yeah. So you can. Yeah.
That's right.
All right. What do you got there?
Remind Tony to get guitar and voice lessons.
Oh dear.
Can we delete that message?
Let's try that. Absolutely. Evaporated. It's
I'd like
gone,
to continue
Tony.
my denial.
You keep working at it, Tony.
Thank you.
So that concludes our demonstration. There are so many tools out there, as you can tell, that enable people. All these items can help low vision individuals just to lead much more productive lives and be able to communicate more effectively and with less difficulty.
Absolutely. That was great. Thank you very much.
You're welcome,
Appreciate
Tony.
that.
No problem.
And thank you so much, Susanna and Tony. Absolutely awesome. We are at halftime or halfway through our presentations for the day. So as we talk about the topic of maximizing remaining vision, we have with us today Billy O'Neill and Molly Burns, Region 1.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. Pleasure to be here. My name is Billy O'Neill, and I am one of the rehab teachers located out in the Western Mass part of the state. So I want to talk to you a bit about how we design strategies and come up with plans to utilize a person's remaining vision. And I just want everyone to keep in mind that, first off, every teacher has their own flair and approach to this. So, if you happen to get RT services after this and it doesn't look exactly like I may have described, you don't need to attack the RT, so to speak. So first, I want to give you an idea as to what you may be able to expect if this is a route that your teacher is discussing with you taking. First off, be open to a conversation about your vision, your medical history with your eye condition, and be prepared to be asked questions by the teacher. Everything is individualized. So while there may be some general approaches that are common for staff to take with folks who have, perhaps glaucoma or macular degeneration, the circumstances influencing and impacting an individual completely influence the strategy and plan put in place. Also, have an idea of your goals for rehab teaching and or your independent living areas of need, okay? So just kind of be prepared with that a little bit if you can. If not, that's okay too, Okay. Few things to keep in mind. Effective strategies for utilizing your vision may require investing a substantial amount of time with lessons, with practice, just with expanding your knowledge base and honing your technique and approach. There may be trial and error involved. It does not mean that, a teacher doesn't know what they're doing. It just may perhaps be that a given strategy isn't working. It doesn't seem natural or fluid, or doesn't seem to be a good fit. And there may be frustration involved. Think about learning to ride a bicycle for the first time. I highly doubt that any one of us hopped onto, the big kid's bike and took off down the street without any issues whatsoever. So, it takes practice. And please know that the rehab teachers see this whole process, especially, my section, as a reciprocal relationship. So each one of us feels as though we have a vested interest in your progress right along with you, okay? We're not just showing up to burn 60 or 90 minutes off the clock and then, filing you away mentally until we see you next. We want to know that you're making meaningful progress and feel good about the process and the accomplishments, okay? So that's kind of setting the stage. So if we break it down a little bit more into what the process entails, first, we want to get a picture about your vision and how it impacts your day-to-day life. So I kind of likened this to reverse engineering an onion. So instead of peeling back layers, I'm starting in the center or, really specific, and then I'm kind of adding and adding and adding. So one of the first questions I would ask is, what is your eye condition? And I'm thinking to myself, well, what are the characteristics of that condition? Does it affect a person's visual field? Does it affect acuity? Perhaps it affects both. To what degree is it affecting, affecting somebody's, vision in that way? Then I always like to ask, well, could you describe for me what your visual experience is? Perhaps you see color or you don't see color, or you have a very difficult time distinguishing certain colors. Perhaps some part of your other part of your health, influences your vision on any given day. Lighting, those are some examples. I also ask questions about a person's general health. Maybe they have other diagnoses that may be pretty complex. Do those conditions present limitations physically with balance or stamina or, sense of touch, neuropathy? Are there medication side effects? So I'm just trying to really get as good and as detailed a picture and understanding about your situation as I can, because to me, that's the only way that we can put together a solid and comprehensive plan and approach that's also going to hopefully ensure success, but minimize frustration or safety concerns. Okay. So someone's social, environmental, social supports, do they live with family or alone? Economic factors, are these skills for job seekers or employment retention? All those sorts of things. Okay. Next, I want to know in as much detail as possible, what are your goals? Okay. What are your rehab teaching independent living goals? Okay. And what is your experience level, if any, with activities of daily living and doing things independently with your current level of vision or diagnosis? Is your low vision new to you? Have you had the condition for many years? Is this your first time working with a rehab teacher? Or have you been around the block with it multiple other times? Okay. So I always like to get an idea, because I don't want to go in and seem as though I'm trying to recreate the wheel or undo other, techniques and strategies you've designed, because that could cause a lot of frustration too. Now, this can be a little bit tricky, because sometimes a person's goals or expectations of rehab teaching may not be realistic, or I may envision that it could be a very discouraging and frustrating process. And I want to try and create as accurate a picture with as reasonable an expectation as I can. This may mean something as simple as, utilizing your remaining vision. It doesn't really make sense to take that approach. Maybe we really do need to go the tactile route and learn non-visual techniques. And that's oftentimes very scary and very intimidating. So I try and do anything I can, not only to set expectations, but assuage fears and provide support. Okay. The last kind of section is we want to chart the course for rehab teaching going forward, and we want to set sail. We want to take that first step. So I like to give my perspective on things as you've presented them. I like to restate the goals that I'm hearing and the factors that I'm hearing as I understand them, so that we're on the same page. And, you may be thinking one thing and I'm way out in left field because I did not understand what you were looking for. So we really want to make sure that we're going forward with the same goal and expectation in mind. I like to clue a person into what I'm thinking. Usually when I'm listening and I'm taking my notes, I'm brainstorming. Okay, so they expressed that glare is a big problem. We want to try and reduce glare. And I can already tell that there's a lot of windows in this room. And so depending on the time of day, they're going to be battling that factor, just as an example. I may list off equipment that I'm curious to trial or want to know if they've seen or tried before. I may detail some example strategies or outline any concerns I have based on what they described to me. Also, I like to try and, have them experience some hands-on technique or have a piece of equipment to try even in the first visit so that it becomes more real to somebody. And sometimes that also helps if someone's anxious or on the fence with some buy-in, you know. Last but not least, we want to begin our learning. We want to get experience with what an RT lesson looks like, even if it's a shortened one, so that we know what to expect and see if it really is for us and it's going to meet our needs. So again, you know, this won't look the same for everybody. As you can see, I've outlined a lot of different factors and reasons that might change how this looks for a team together. But, you know, if my explanation has done anything to provide you with valuable information or ease some anxieties, then, you know, I think that's been worthwhile. So thank you for letting me share this afternoon with you.
And thank you, Billy. At this time, we have the topic of use of assistive technology. And the presenters for that topic will be from Region 2, Jen Daly and Joan Goodlight.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Jennifer Daly, and I am a rehabilitation teacher in the Worcester area office at the Commission for the Blind, and here to talk about technology. So I'm thinking about through the years. When I first started as a rehab teacher, daily living skills were pretty much taught in the house, you know, and you did it. And now, fast forward 20 years, technology has become a piece of daily living. There are things that we used to have to do, go to the library to look up information. Now it's at our fingertips. We hop on the computer, do a Google search, look on the internet, and we can find information in our own home. So that's one example. Think about banking. You know, people don't even have to go to the bank to deposit checks. You take a photograph and it deposits. And so technology is a piece of daily living. And in order to utilize the computer, it is of utmost importance to learn the layout of the keyboard. If you are struggling to locate where keys are on the keyboard, then you're not absorbing the keystroke in order to perform the action, in order to get the computer to do what you want. So at the commission in rehabilitation teachers, we oftentimes will go in and work on keyboarding skills. There is a program that's downloadable from aph.org. It's called the Talking Typer Tutorial. And that is typically what we use when working with participants with typing skills. But I'd like to back up first and mention that we can adapt the keyboard in order for ease of use. Believe it or not, I don't know if anyone knows, there is a notch on your F and your J key on a keyboard, and that actually is for everybody to use to anchor and orientate yourself to the keyboard. However, I sometimes cheat, you know, and so I have to look down. So there are stickers, adhesive stickers that you can put over the keys on your keyboard, kind of like as a ways of cheating while you are learning. So these keyboard stickers there are different colors. So depending on your vision challenge, if you are able to see better, black background with white, then the large print stickers come in a variety of colors, yellow on black, black on yellow. And as a rehab teacher, knowing what eye condition you have, chances are we can match you with, and with your input, because you know your vision best. So learning the keyboard so that you can access the banking, you can go on Facebook, and type a message without even thinking, and you can learn the keystrokes through either JAWS or magnification programs in order to access your computer with ease. I'm going to move on now to telephones, smartphones specifically. In the presentation earlier, we saw a demonstration of an app that could read the bill, your bills. So again, gone are the days of finding your iBill, which is a little box that you stick a bill in and it either vibrates or tells you what the bill is. Now take out your phone, hover over the bill, and it tells you what it is. Again, smartphones, depending on your vision, you can use the accessibility options built into it. And at the Commission for the Blind, we tend to recommend the iPhone because the accessibility options are built in, and you can access using Siri to turn on something called VoiceOver on and off, whereas in other phones, it's more difficult to actually get to the settings to turn it on and off. So, so the iPhone has all sorts of apps. Seeing AI was mentioned, and that app is amazing, and it only is supported. If things have changed, I apologize. It's an Apple app. So Seeing AI is not an option for someone who has an Android. So that has different channels where you can actually hover over a document in the short text form. It will actually read it to you. And then you can switch to another channel, hover over the document, and it takes a snapshot, and you press a play button. And again, these techniques of getting to the play button, interacting with your flat screen of your phone, all of these techniques can be worked on with a rehab teacher. And we go out and we evaluate. We see if someone needs some honing in on orientating onto your flat screen. Swiping is believe it or not, a difficult thing to do if you've never done it on a flat screen. The speed at which you do it, the arc of your finger, all of these things can be worked on with a rehab teacher. And, as Billy had indicated, sometimes, if there's a fine motor deficits, we will, go to the adaptive technology department and see if there's some kind of modification that we're unaware of, so that interacting with in a different way it could be a possibility. So we utilize the resources within the Commission and each other in order to kind of problem solve for cases that might be a little more off the norm. So iPhones are a great tool in order to access information and to get things done in your daily living. The last item I will be talking about is the Echo Dot. So it's important to note that in order to use an Echo Dot, you need Wi-Fi access, you need the Alexa application, and if you set up the Dot and with the assistance of the Commission, there are so many ways to utilize the Dot. You can ask it, what time is it? If you sync it with your apps for music, you can ask Alexa to play music. If you sync it with your calendar, you can set appointments. It can also be if a loved one is necessary in the mix in order to get the appointments into the Dot, that can be done so that the person using it can just ask the question. And a rehab teacher is there to train someone how to ask the questions, how to word them. what words to use, because, there are certain words that don't make sense. Create an event, schedule an appointment. They mean two different things in many circumstances. So you can set reminders. You can ask Alexa to tell you a joke. And so it kind of keeps you, it's almost like, and many people that I've worked with have said, it's like my little friend, like I can interact with my Alexa, and, I know what's going on in the world. So it's such a great tool. You can check the weather, so these devices, rehab teachers can come in, do an assessment, work on the skill building, and then, if necessary, look for the resources, whether it's in our agency, the Commission for the Blind, or look for outside resources in order to acquire the equipment necessary for you to live a technology dependent, independent life. And with that, I am going to pass the mic back to Yelena. Thank you, everyone, for listening to my presentation.
And thank you, Jen. So we are now at our last topic for the day, and that has to do with leisure time activities. So Pam Cloutman, Aja Keys, what do you say about our leisure time activities?
Hello, my name is Aja Keys. I am one of 2 rehabilitation teachers serving Region 3, the Northeast region of the state. The other RT, as you heard, is Pamela Cloutman. This presentation is entitled Fun for All, Leisure and You. We at MCB feel that it is key for consumers to continue participating in their favorite activities. At times, it can be difficult to figure out how to do so. I hope by the end of this presentation, you have gained insight into the various tools and programs available to you. The programs and services discussed here are in no way a complete list. I encourage you to speak with your case manager and assigned a rehab teacher for additional resources. Now let's get started. The initial RT assessment is key in our first step in getting to know you. MCB recognizes that our consumers are diverse in their needs. During the assessment, your RT will ask you questions about your vision loss and its impact on your ability to participate in activities. These include both solo and group activities. Your RT will work with you to determine appropriate ways for you to continue your hobbies. Games are a great way our consumers connect with family and friends. Consumers may benefit from using large print or braille playing cards, bingo cards, large print crossword, and word search puzzles. Did you know many of your favorite board games also have adaptive options? Examples include Monopoly, Scrabble, and 4 in a Row, just to name a few. RTs are also able to provide instruction on the computer, tablet, and cell phone. We can work with consumers on Apple's VoiceOver, Android's TalkBack, and other accessibility features of the Mac OS and Microsoft platforms. If appropriate, MCB can provide screen magnification and/or reader software. These options can help you to continue enjoying computer games and other online hobbies, including accessing your favorite social media sites, email, and the internet. Enjoying television is still possible, even with vision loss. After assessment, Max TV glasses may be deemed appropriate for consumers with remaining vision. They are wearable glasses that aim to provide clarity when viewing from a distance. Various cable providers and other also provide remote controls which accept audible input. You can use your voice to navigate to your favorite channels and access on-demand features. Our RTs can place raised markings on your remote for easier navigation as well. Audio descriptions are another option that may be available for a variety of television programs. Audible descriptions are short spoken text, which provide additional information about on-screen content during natural pauses in a show or movie. Contact your cable provider to learn more about their accessibility options. You may be surprised about what's out there. For consumers who enjoy sewing, knitting, gardening, crocheting, and building models, RTs will work with you to determine solutions for you to continue these activities. Lighting can play a major role when performing hands-on hobbies. Your RT will perform lighting assessments. This will help the RT determine if a flashlight, desk, or floor lamp may be appropriate for you. RTs can also provide lighted lamps with magnification. Self-threading needles and trays are other useful options. Trays can help keep small pieces in one place, preventing loss of materials. Next up, we will discuss options for reading. Magnifiers can be used to enlarge print of reading materials. Technologies such as a CCTV and handheld video magnifier may also help consumers who struggle with contrast. This technology can also be used for consumers who have difficulty with using their hands. Perkins School for the Blind has many programs which offer accessible materials. The library's talking book machine is a free device consumers can receive on loan from the library. This portable player is mailed to consumers along with titles offered on specialized cartridges. Just like any other library, Perkins offers numerous titles covering a vast array of genres. Your RT or case manager can sign you up. This program is free and a great way to continue enjoying your favorite titles or discover a new one. Perkins also offers book clubs, which allow participants to discuss books together. The Library Without Walls program also offers programs which hosts authors or speakers every month. The next event will take place next Tuesday, September 20th. This month's speaker is Dr. Timothy Walker, a professor at UMass Dartmouth. The presentation will discuss Walker's book, filled with historical essays, which explore sea routes taken by slaves during the Civil War. Consumers can participate in book clubs and Library Without Walls programs virtually by using Zoom. Newsline is a free audio service for anyone who is low vision, blind, or deafblind. It offers access to over 500 publications, emergency weather alerts, national and state newspapers, retail ads, grocery store flyers, obituaries, and TV listings localized to your zip code. Consumers are able to access Newsline through a mobile app, telephone, Alexa, or Victor Reading Stream devices. To sign up, please connect with your case manager or RT. Signing up is easy, and Newsline is a unique resource for obtaining all of this information in one place. A smart speaker is a great way to access information using your voice. Use of Alexa and Google Assistant devices are great ways to stream music and the radio, set reminders and timers, obtain the weather and time, get updates on your favorite sports teams, make phone calls, and even play games. Popular games offered on the Echo Dot and Google Assistant include Song Quiz and Jeopardy. Are you up for a challenge? Just ask your device to play either of these games to get started. They're free. An RT may be able to provide an Amazon Echo Dot for you if deemed appropriate for your needs. It is important to recognize that you are not alone in your vision loss. There are free support groups across the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, which allow you to connect with others. MCB has partnered with MAB Association for the Blind and Visually Impaired, to coordinate over 30 peer empowerment support groups throughout the state. Groups are led by a peer who is also visually impaired. Groups often host outside speakers who discuss helpful updates and resources available to those experiencing vision loss. Your local senior center or council on aging may also offer individual groups and events. Groups may offer meetings in person and over the phone, increasing access. Your case manager can help you identify groups in your area. Perkins Library offers more than just books. There are various free virtual accessible programs. The Perkins Telefund program offers weekly events, which include trivia, spelling bees, guess that tune, movie screenings, and bingo. You can win prizes and overall have a great time. If you are already a member of the library and are interested in signing up for Perkins Telefund programs, inform your case manager or RT. Or if you are not already a member, our staff can help you sign up. Programs take place multiple days a week at various times, giving consumers more options and flexibility. This is not a complete list of services that are available. Please, please let your assigned RT know if there are other areas of interest. We want to do our best to find programs that meet your needs. Thank you, and remember, fun is for all. Back to you, Yelena.
Thank you, Aja. We are now at the part of our town hall today where we have been afforded the opportunity to receive valuable information about the importance of rehabilitation teaching. So before we conclude today, we have an opportunity to entertain questions and hopefully provide answers to much of what you've heard today and beyond. And we have our own Deputy Commissioner, John Oliveira, available to address those questions. John?
All right, excellent presentation, and
Yes.
Great to see a great turnout today. So you've been listening, you've been learning, and you probably might have some questions. So either you could raise your hand by using the Alt U. You could also just type in the chat, and we will call on you and ask you to ask your question. So do we have any questions? We're going to ask either Samantha or Mike to let me know if there's any hands raised or anything in the chat.
Yes, John, we do have one hand raised, and before we go to that, I will remind people that, as John said, we can either take questions in the chat, or if you are calling in by phone, you can, after you raise your hand by *9, we can call on you. And then after we call on you, you can mute and unmute by *6. If you are using a Windows PC, you can do that to raise and lower your hand, Alt-Y. And you can, by Mac, you can have the option to raise and lower your hand by Option Y. And so the one, you already unmuted yourself, so thank you. The 508-823, go ahead and ask your question.
All right, so Alt-Y raises your hand. Let's see some hands go up, guys.
Yeah, Russell Andrews here. Can you hear me?
Hey, go ahead. We got you.
Yeah, so I've been on this call many times, but I really appreciate this. I've been doing it for many years, but it's always good to have a beginner's mind. So thank you for this presentation.
Mm-hmm.
That's the good part. The other part is it took me 18 minutes to get onto this call. I get onto Zoom calls all the time. I just go down the email, tap on one touch dial, and I'm in. This one I couldn't do that. It didn't work on that. I had to go in the house to my internet, and they still wanted me to type in another number. So then I had to sit down, record all the numbers, then type them all in. Got them wrong the first time, so I had to go back and do it all over again. 18 minutes of my time is very valuable, and I don't understand. I brought this up on this call before with the state that I should be able to do it with one touch. And why you separate everything and make it more difficult, I just don't understand that. Thank you.
All right, we'll look into that. Obviously, we're trying to make it as seamless as possible. We'll take a look at the service we're using and see how it's generating those numbers and that information. We'll take a look at it. Thanks for bringing it to our attention. Any other questions?
Yes, we have a question from Debbie.
Hey, good afternoon, Debbie. You're muted.
Oh, there. Are
There
you
you
okay?
go. Yep.
Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to say a couple things. First of all, I really enjoyed the presentations and it helped remind me how valuable MCB was to me, especially in the beginning when those counselors came out. And it just made me realize how important those rehab counselors were, especially in the early days. And there was a couple things. Billy mentioned how he likes to have a couple of those devices with him for like to immediately show someone, you know, look, you can do this. And that was really important to me. It really helped me over some just low moments like, where am I going? What am I doing? And it just gave me like that instant boost, like, oh, wow, I got this. And motivated me to ask more questions, get on to more things, and just totally get submerged in so many devices and, you know, tricks of the trade that helped me. And then another counselor just spoke of just mentioned like the sewing and these like little things that you guys would do that seem so little, but they're so big. And I'm just glad that you're emphasizing this or just kind of reintroducing it for those of us who might have forgotten these early stages, how important they are. And to just, you know, remind everyone, we've got to get to those people that haven't had counselors come to them and just, you know, introduce these things to them. And just for the last caller, I had the same problem. I had to have someone help me get onto this meeting, and I too was late because I wasn't familiar with entering that code. So maybe you could, like all the other Zooms, we just have to hit the button and we're in, not enter. There was some code we had to enter. But anyways, thank you. Great presentations and great reminder of all the good things you do. Thank you.
Yep. Thanks for all your kind words. And yeah, those very simple little techniques or skills or items that we have here at MCB can make a substantial difference to someone's life and allow them to participate and do a lot of things that they thought they would not be able to do. And we'll definitely look on that. I believe that's a security feature, but we'll definitely take a look at that for the next time around. Another question?
We'll make sure, just to comment on that, we'll make sure we compile it out this end. We'll see if we can do that. So thank you for that feedback. We do have a question here, and you know, and just a few comments for the phone callers because I know they can't see it, and we just appreciate it. Just a few comments about a great job to everybody and very informative and talented group of professionals and amazing job, everybody. So we really appreciate that feedback as well. We do have a comment or a question that says, how long of a wait is it to CLRT?
So obviously we try to do the best we can now that we are seeing people in person. We hope to get, after you get yourself to the region and get yourself into the case manager, and then they make a referral for the services that you need, the wraparound services, either technology, rehab teaching, or orientation and mobility. So it could be 2 to 3 weeks, several weeks. It depends on the region. If it's an emergency situation, your case manager can make a note and communicate that to the rehab teacher. So it is several weeks. We do have, time and travel to get around, it takes from client to client. And although we have new clients coming in all the time, we have clients that continue to get services. So it's a management issue that our support staff have to do to keep serving consumers that are on the caseload, but also to keep working with new consumers coming in. So, but it could take 2 to 3 weeks in most cases, but we try to do our best and to see as soon as possible. But there are a substantial number of people on the caseload that, and if you're offering continuing services more than one visit, 2, 3 visits, whatever, 4 visits it may be, it does tend to just lengthen out the process a little bit. Next question. Anything else?
Yeah, there's a hand raised from Jeannie Fairley.
Hey, Jeannie, how are you? You're still muted. There we go. Ask your
Thanks.
question.
Hi, John.
How are you?
Yeah, actually, thank you for all the information. I'm a techie, so I love all this stuff, and use a fair amount of it in my work, in my job. I'm having some issue, and I had the same issue last year of getting my blindness certificate. I know this is beyond what you were covering today, but I feel like I'm not getting through to people. I put all my information on the voicemail for Central Registry. I finally got so frustrated last year, I had to get on the Zoom call at a specific time, and I just can't always do that. The 10 to 1 or whatever, to ask them, please look for my name and please send me my certificate. I need it for my tax exemption stuff. So is there some issue? I never ever had this problem except for the last 2 years.
No, we're doing really well at processing. We have added an additional staff to the department, just started recently, past couple of weeks. This is a busy time of the year for us. This is the crunch time, obviously, because you know that, because everyone pays their taxes and does their needs at almost the same time. We are cranking them out. There's various ways to get them now. You can leave the information you left. If you're able to take a certificate by email and print it out yourself, you could contact the case manager here, or you could contact my office, and we'll be glad to do that for you also. Or you can any regional director can help you get that certificate if you're willing to take it by email. If you need it by mail, our unit is working very hard, and there are some staff from that unit here on this call, and they'll take note of that and follow up on that.
So what's the email version? I didn't see that as an option. And when I called in,
So the email version is if you call a case manager or
I don't have an active case manager.
All right, if you call the regional director in your region and ask them if they could email you a certificate, they will be able to email it to you.
Who's the regional director for 4?
Just call my office. Just call me, okay?
Just
I'll
ask
take
for
care
John.
of it. I'll take care of it for you.
Thanks
all
a
right?
million. I'm sorry. I just can't do the Zoom one, and that's
No,
the only way I got it last year.
That's
so
fine.
thanks.
That's fine. We'll email it to you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Yeah.
Yep. Any other questions?
Yep. One was, is there somewhere that they can access the regional map? And also, where does our funding from MCB come from?
So we're talking about rehab teaching today. Rehab teaching services are covered by federal funds, state funds, and this year earmark funds provided by our state legislators. So there are various pots of money, and really not a fiscal discussion, but we are well funded. We have no fiscal issues. And we look forward to serving you in this current fiscal year as we are moving into it in the first quarter here. So we have excellent funding and basically federal and state dollars. Next question.
Is there a place where people can access the regional map?
The regional map. We have I have a listing of the region of the.
I can pull up a photo of it right now if you'd like.
So our communications director, Mike, is here. And is there a place they can access this online on our website, Mike?
I can definitely add it to our website for sure. Okay. I'm gonna pull it up if I can right now.
That's a great suggestion. No one's ever asked for that before. So typically the regions are pretty stable, but occasionally because of people moving from different parts of the state, and we have slight adjustments, but they're very slight, and there may be a couple of towns that are moved from one region to the other or something like that, but it's very, very rare, and it's very stable, the amount of the towns that each region covers based on population. And that also helps us manage the staffing that cover the population in that particular region. So Mike has it up on the screen, the different towns. If you would like, a copy of this, why don't you reach out to MCB Info and send Mike an email. He fields that email that comes into that, and we'll see if we can email that to you or get that to you in a way that you can use it.
And that is just mcbinfo@mass.gov, and I've also put that in the chat for everybody.
All right. If you ever want to reach out to MCB, that's a great place to start. If it's a general question, and we're here. If you ever want to reach out to the region, and if you don't know who your regional director is, then our switchboard is active and open, and so call and we'll definitely connect you to the right person. We do have staff in the office every day. We have staff in the field every day, going to people's homes. We're returning to what we were before the COVID times and before the pandemic, and we continue to increase our visibility out there. And as things become more stable, we continue to look forward towards returning to more in-person visits. But we also continue to anyone who prefers visits using Zoom or other virtual platforms, then we're able to do that too. So, but discuss that with your case manager or your support staff person, and work out whichever works out for you. We're here to serve you all.
Okay, and I think this will be our last question, and then Yelena can close us out because it's just about 1:30. Can we donate to MCB?
So MCB has a gift and bequest fund. We are a state agency. So if someone passes away, as many cases, they pass away and the family appreciated the services we provided, that we will receive some checks. They may put that in the obituary to make a donation to MCB. And so the answer is yes. Checks should be made to the Commission for the Blind and address it to Chandra Gardner. And she's our CFO, and she'll make sure it gets to the proper account and will be used as needed here for services at MCB that are not able to be provided, but we provide just about everything. So, but we can use the donations, and we do have some things that gift and bequest fund is definitely helpful for. So, all right, that's it. Thank you all for coming. We'll take it back over to Yelena for the wrap up of the event today.
All right. So in closing, this is my opportunity to say again to every one of you, thank you again for joining us today for our MCB's virtual town hall. Please stay tuned for the White Cane Awareness Week and White Cane Day, which is coming up on next month. And if you have additional questions or would like to get in touch with our team, please feel free to call 1-800-392-6450 or email us at mcbinfo@mass.gov. Also, please sign up for emails from MCB about these upcoming events, as well as any others that may be coming up at the Mass Commission for the Blind. And lastly, sign up online, and that can be done at www.mass.gov/MCB. Thank you again, and have a wonderful rest of your day.